I'm Mike the Barber.
I'm Kunal the Forever Client.
And we are
Wrestle Cuts.
Let's go.
Today we're going to talk about our wrestling journey. No, we're not wrestlers, but like how
we got into WWE, the whole story with everything really.
Hopefully in a very concise way. Otherwise, enjoy the long form videos.
Yeah. Let's get started then. So,
what's the first question?
Our first memories, like what got us into it, what kept us in. There's a lot of things going on, but yeah, go.
So the first memory?
Yeah.
I guess I'll go first.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So I have three parts of my first memory. I got the first one, which is my dad slapping me because I was trying to emulate the wrestling moves.
Yeah.
But this was when I was like 2 or 3. The second memory I have, and I don't know which pay-per-view or whatever, because again, I was 3 years old. The only thing I remember is just The Rock, his entrance music, and him walking out.
What around what year was it?
Okay, I guess this is me giving my age away, but like around the year 2000.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And so that was my second memory, and that's also why. And this is getting ahead of ourselves, but The Rock is my forever GOAT. Like he's like I'm in love with him. And my third memory is the first ever time I saw the ring imploding, and this was done by Brock Lesnar suplexing Big Show. Yeah, I think this was like
classic moment.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I think it was like a SmackDown night. I think
it was definitely SmackDown.
Yeah,
it was.
So obviously this was not in the same year. Maybe it was like maybe 2002, 2003. Mm-hmm. But like again, I was like a toddler and a child, so I don't remember everything.
I think everyone back then saw that and was like, "This hasn't happened before."
Yeah,
they replicated that a few times. Didn't really. It will never live up to the first.
Yeah, why is that?
They probably. I don't know, because it was really good.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
Fair,
Brock and Big Show, the two perfect people to do it. I think they did it with Mark Henry and Big Show, and it was a bit like,
oh, it's a bit wonky. Yeah. But then when Brock did it, it was like, woo.
Yeah.
You know, it's a really good one.
Classic.
What about yours, man?
Well, for me, The Rock. Literally, the moment I saw The Rock, I was like, "You are my guy. I love you." I got my mum to cut my hair like him.
Are you serious?
For whatever hair he had. I tried to do the sideburns. I learned how to do the eyebrow.
The eyebrow, of course. Yeah.
I think anyone who loved The Rock learned how to do the eyebrow. Kane, I loved Kane. It's just I was there like right at the end of the Attitude Era because I'm a few years older. Yeah, amazing.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm a few years older than you.
Yeah.
My brother got into it. My dad got us into it. I was young. I was about 4 or 5.
Oh yeah.
And it's then when you believe everything. It's a different sort of view of the way we have it now.
So everything was like bigger than life, like almost like superheroes, and I think that was kind of like what they were trying to promote anyway.
That's how it was back then, yeah, for sure. And yeah, like I remember the Stone Cold Booker T supermarket moment. Amazing.
Oh, you actually remember that?
We were watching that with my dad. My dad's favorite was like Stone Cold and Kurt Angle at the time, and it was just, what is happening? They're wrestling in the supermarket. I think we were just in hysterics, like watching it.
Could it ever happen again in this era?
It's like that moment with Brock. You can do that again, but doing it after it's done already, it's not really the same, is it?
That's true. They could do it in McDonald's or something.
Yeah.
I guess.
So yeah, that was like, luckily I was there in the Attitude Era, so I can say I was there watching it. And next question.
Sure.
How we got out of it.
How did
you get out of it?
Okay, so I'm going to try and like talk about the 3 moments. Can I actually have the phone because my answers are on your phone, bro. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for your patience. So I kind of got out of wrestling at 3 different times. And so the first time I was out of it was like between 2003 and 2005. This was also like just about the time when The Rock left, I think, right?
Yeah, it makes sense.
03, 04
Yeah,
around.
that's when he went and filmed his movies.
Yeah. But he was officially done in 03, no?
It was 03.
Yeah? Okay, there we go.
Stone Cold at Mania.
Yeah. And the only thing that I clearly remember from that era is the Cena Batista Royal Rumble botch. Well, not botch, but like mishap, essentially, right? Yeah. Where they both landed at the exact same time, twice, 3 times, I don't know. Tore both
and
squads.
tore his squads, yeah.
No, not Legends, just Karma. Anyway, I digress.
Legend in some ways.
In some ways. The second time I got out of it was during, wait, let me get this right. 2012 to 2017. was when I was completely out of it, which is hilarious because for a lot of people, that's when they got into it because of the Shield and the Yes movement, right? Daniel Bryan, right? The literal GOAT. Well, to some people, also he looked like a goat.
Literally
so I guess
the goat.
he's literally a goat. The goat. Anyway, I was out of it at that time. And honestly, it was because I didn't have any access to it because, again, I grew up in Hong Kong, so we didn't have, like, we couldn't watch it live. And we could only get it pirated. And I think eventually we were just kind of done with it. And then I got back into it in 2017 because, and it's kind of like jumping ahead, but
what was it?
Because YouTube highlights became a real big thing.
Right.
And I would just like keep up with the YouTube highlights.
They really went into the YouTube.
You know? Yeah.
Scene. Yeah, they done well. It made sense, really.
And there were like other people who would just kind of like take clips of the entire show and just put it into one like 20-minute video. I was like, I can do this. And then I got out of it again during 2020 and 2022. And I mean, the real reason I got out of it is because I started working full time after I graduated from university. But that's like just the real reality of situations. I was always in the background because WWE had their own like Instagram page, and I was like, I would see.
Yeah, you followed it. You kept an eye on it. Yeah.
Those are the times when I like got out of it, and like those are the reasons as well. I don't know if that's a bit of a ramble on, but yeah, man.
I feel like you just naturally weave in and out of wrestling. I've sort of done that.
Same for you then.
Yeah, I left. So I was watching Attitude Era. I probably came out. I saw Brock debut. That was amazing. I remember that. It was like, this guy's something else. And then I think it was my age because it was around secondary school. So like 10, 11, 12 years old. Yeah. When you're like, wrestling's not that cool anymore because it was from when I was young and I believed everything. So when you know it's fake and it's like you're that age where you're influenced by everyone, it's not really a cool thing in school. It wasn't cool anymore. Like it really went downhill.
Were you like hiding the fact that you liked it as well?
Do you know what? I'd say no because I just felt like the product went down. And as I was getting older and getting into different things, I wasn't as interested. So yeah, around 2004, 2005. So I missed out a lot of like Cena's era.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's when he was. Well, he wasn't Super Cena yet. He became Super Cena more around the time of like what?
2008.
2008.
Yeah, around
that
there.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Or maybe even later on, because like that's when he started to like bury talent.
Yes. When he was proper established as the guy.
The guy.
But yeah, so around that time, and then what got me back in, and it's funny because The Rock left when I stopped watching. So.
Okay, so similar to me as well. There we go, that makes sense.
So, and then when I started keeping an eye, I was like, oh, The Rock's coming back, fighting John Cena. And John Cena was always, I never was a massive fan of Cena, I was always The Rock, because back then it was like, who do you prefer, who's better, blah, blah, blah. And then they feuded, and they were fighting at Mania, and I was like, okay, I've got to watch this. I'm not into wrestling, but I've got to watch this one. Yeah. Saw that match, cool. It was a big moment, The Rock won, it was like, yeah, Rock fans win. And then, I just fell out of love again. Like I wasn't really invested. Fair. It was just for that moment, and that's it.
So to you, that was literally once in a lifetime. Yeah. And not twice in a lifetime.
Yeah. And then a year later, they had the rematch. Sort of kept an eye on it. Saw Cena won. Okay. And then I kind of saw it was Punk. Punk was around then. He got me back into it. It was him. It was. Because he wasn't your typical wrestler. He was great on the mic. Yeah. Didn't have the best build. Yeah. Really good in ring. Yeah. And I started to watch it in a different light, saying, this isn't real, but you're really good at what you do. And the Shield came through as well. Daniel Bryan came through. Daniel Bryan, I just fell in love with the whole story. I'm little, I'm the great wrestler, but I'm being put down by the authority. I loved it. I was so behind it.
It was like the most like simplistic storyline. It's David versus Goliath. Yeah. You know? And it's like, I think anybody in the real world can kind of like relate to that as well, where you feel like you're always in an uphill battle against the corporations, you know, whether it's like you and a company, you trying to like make a name for yourself in an industry, for example. A little bit of a sidetrack, like I'm trying to get into acting as well. So like for me, who has no connection whatsoever, # no nepotism, except Nepo Queen. Anyway, it's hard to get into it, and I feel like the entire Hollywood industry is just kind of like, whoa, how I'm like a little speck of dust in front of them. You know what I mean? So yeah, but
it's hard.
We were kind of like getting into the third question as well, which is, you know, what what
brought
brought us back,
pretty
right?
much where we're going with it.
Okay, fair.
So yeah,
So
it was the Punk
CM
stuff,
Punk,
it was
okay.
the Bryan stuff,
Yeah.
and the women's division.
At that time?
Yeah.
Really?
Back then, so this is like, 2014 sort of era.
Okay.
This is when Sasha and Bailey started coming through.
Oh.
And the horsewomen.
Again,
And
something
it
I
was
missed out
like,
on.
we never saw this. Like, when I was younger, it was just women, like, fighting in dirt, and it was only Trish and Lita really holding it down.
Yeah, for sure.
And they didn't really give her much opportunity as well. And just seeing these women go like they go in the ring now, like Bailey versus Sasha is one of my favorite matches ever. What a match!
Which one was that one? The first one?
The one in NXT, the first one, and then had the Iron Man match as well.
Oh,
unbelievable! Just that whole era. Asuka came along as well. I fell in love with Asuka.
So were you following NXT at the time as well?
Yeah, I was into the black and gold era.
Okay.
That stood out quite a lot because it was like, what is this new thing, new wrestlers?
Yeah.
And they were treated as like, we're the B guys and we're going to kill ourselves in that ring to make it to the
A show.
the top.
Yeah.
And every single NXT pay-per-view in that era for about 5-6 years used to just shit on any sort of WWE main event pay-per-view.
Leave them again. Yeah.
So yeah, that was that was a great era.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
So did you see the Shield members in NXT first, and then you saw them as Shield, or like did you just see them as Shield members?
Because they came in 2012, right?
Yeah.
To the main roster. So
like November Survivor
I didn't
Series?
really know of them in NXT. NXT wasn't really in its peak back then.
Okay.
And then this random trio came on. Was it Survivor Series?
Yeah.
And did what they did, and then they just sort of broke the system, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you as heartbroken when Seth betrayed Shield?
Oh god. It felt like it was time.
Interesting.
Like, yeah, I felt Seth is my favorite and was my favorite as well of the three, and I'm just glad they gave it to him. I think at the time we all thought it was going to be Dean, because Dean
really?
What? Yeah. Dean was the lunatic, the crazy one. He was always, I don't know, it just felt like out of the three, if anyone was going to do something, it was him.
Oh, you mean like a betrayer, like do something, like, you know, unhinged.
Yeah.
Again, his
and
name.
then when Seth did it, and he went under Triple H's wing, you know you're going to be successful. So I was happy for Seth, really.
It's like Randy Orton part 2, and that kind of became a storyline as well, right?
Yeah.
Like, right, that's why they had the feud at WrestleMania with 35, 6, 4, 2, 1.
Which one?
When Randy versus Seth.
Oh yeah.
Was that WrestleMania 32? When they did that insane stop reversal with the RKO.
I think it was 1, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the end of the night, Seth cashes in.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
What a storyline, right? So
yeah.
kind of like to kind of go, man, phone again. Thank you, sir. So to kind of go back into how I got back into those little periods, I would say, so again, to kind of like follow a timeline, between 2005 and 2009, I was kind of watching it, but also I was a bit too young to remember a lot of the things. I remember Undertaker winning the Royal Rumble. That was a pretty big deal for me. I remember the Randy Orton versus Triple H feud. This was when I think he was already, was he past the Legend Killer phase? Was he getting to
I think he
somewhere
was
past Legend Killer?
Yeah.
But he became like literal like psychopathic, you know, punting everyone, kissing Stephanie McMahon, threatening everyone basically, right?
Prime Randy, I'd say.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And you know, like, so obviously at the time, like as a child, you kind of support the babyface, but then when I look back and then you start to see Randy Orton as the character, it's like, whoa, like that is proper, you know, character building out. So I'm a pretty big fan of Randy Orton too.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's digress. So that's why I was there, why I was kind of back in, but I was actually kind of following TNA at the time as well.
Are you watching TNA?
Yeah, because in Hong Kong, we had Star World, this channel that showed TNA. I was like, I saw people like AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, The Abyss, Rhino was there.
Was it when Kurt Angle was there as well?
No, I don't think so. I'm trying to think back, and I don't remember Kurt Angle. No, I think it came after.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
okay.
I think Kurt Angle came afterwards because I think at some point I stopped eventually watching.
Yeah, you watched early TNA.
Yeah, early TNA. Yeah.
Right, okay.
So again, my exact years could be slightly wrong. Apologies for that, but it's just what I remember from that time.
Yeah.
And then when I got back into it properly to WWE, was actually the streak. It was when it was Randy Undertaker versus Shawn. the second match, not the first one. I watched the second one.
Would you prefer which one?
So I've now watched both of them, and I think because there's so much more emotional weight to the second one, I actually prefer the second one, which I feel like is a hot take.
Hot take.
You know, because I think a lot of people like the first one more. And I saw the first match and I was like, it's wow. Yeah. Like, I get it. But also out of the 4 matches, including the Triple H one, I think the last one is my favorite.
Hell in a Cell one? Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh. Because again, it's the emotional impact. You're just, that kick out, honestly.
Moments.
That
wrestling is moments.
Exactly.
And that moment is...
It's in your brain. It's engraved. Literally. Like, about to do tombstone, reversal, super kick, go into pedigree, boom, 1, 2, boom, kick out.
How did he kick out?
Wow, I was convinced. Honestly, I was convinced. This is it.
Yeah. Even when you watch it now, you think
it's so like it's done for.
He's not kicking out.
Yeah, I get goosebumps thinking about it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like that kind of answers my question. It was the streak, but also at the time it was The Rock versus John Cena. The same. I think it was the same era.
Yeah.
That's what kept me going at that time, and then I just stopped watching, which is like just about time when he started getting back into it because again that's when Shield came in, and then I got back into it. Like I said earlier, in 2017 to 2020 because of YouTube Shorts, YouTube highlights. But, and this is kind of like, this is kind of like, I guess, answering the question, or fourth question. Like,
yeah, what is the full question?
The fourth question is, what kept you in? Like, now, like,
I pretty much covered that with all my NXT stuff and the women's.
So you've been watching it consistently since then?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was all that stuff that kept me in it. When I just saw these good wrestlers.
Yeah.
The women who are putting up, putting up the like amazing matches. That kept me in it. Just the quality of matches and realizing that it's a different game now. Very
interesting. So the reason I kept going was actually, again, I fell out like 2020 to 2022. And this was just because I started working full time, like I said earlier. But I got back into it and I started to really hone into the Bloodline storyline.
Yeah.
And I was like, why did I miss out on this? It was amazing.
Did you catch it at the beginning of it?
No, towards the end of it.
Oh no.
You know? And so what I did was I spent like honestly hours watching YouTube to understand the storyline to see why is Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns such a big deal? Because that's when I was like fully back into it.
Yeah.
Right? And that's when I started to see like other wrestlers that were like just amazing. And then obviously I think 2023 was also when Judgment Day was kind of like doing its thing.
Yeah.
You know, the Edge betrayal and then Finn coming in and then Dom coming in and that betrayal and everything, all that stuff, right? And you start to really understand. And I think I was like kind of on and off with NXT as well. And then you start to see like Io Sky, likes of Asuka was a bit earlier. So you see Io Sky, you see what was it? Bianca Belair, you see Rhea Ripley, you know? I was like, things are looking good now, you know? And now it feels like we have such a high expectation of WWE now that whenever it's even just slightly not good, we're like, oh, it's the worst thing in the world. But really, the worst thing in the world was, I think during which era? Probably like 2005, 2009. It was like abysmal.
It was bad. It was right in the middle of, we've gone away from the Attitude Era. And I don't know, they were just trying to do things, and Vince had his input of trying to put out what he wanted, and it wasn't working. Yeah, they struggled. That was like the middle period of Cena just carrying, basically.
Honestly, yeah. And again, kudos to him.
I'm not a massive Cena fan, but he carried that era, and I think as well, it's now that we're older. I'll speak for myself. I appreciate a lot more. I appreciate the athleticism, the work rate, the traveling, the fact that they take their promos one take only. Like, I respect that.
Oh my God, that's such a good point.
Yeah, it's just all these little things that normal people will look at and think, oh, wrestling's fake. Oh, it's easy. They're not even hurting each other. It's the furthest from that. It is literally, I'd say, one of the highest skill things out there. So. It's just respecting the athletes, really.
So people put respect on their name. Even the ones that are like not the biggest stars, they put their work in, you know?
They put their bodies on the line.
Exactly. So don't let your ego affect your vision and view of these wrestlers. And I think with that, as
that's pretty much it.
That kind of segues into the next video.
Well, before that, I just want to say,
I
feel like we can just talk about wrestling for ages. Like, there's so much when we're talking about these little storyline bits by bits. we can just delve and just keep digging deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'll be for later. And yeah, our next video.
So we wanted to talk more about the people that really kept us going, but then we didn't want to extend this video for too long. So that's our next video. We're going to be talking about our Mount Rushmore of wrestlers.
Yeah.
But I think we're focusing on WWE.
Yeah,
because that's kind of like our little niche for now.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the men's Mount Rushmore and the women's Mount Rushmore
as well. Yeah.
So stay tuned for that.
Yep. Cool.
With that, well, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share.
Thank you.
And we appreciate the support.
Thanks for watching, guys.